We've already said the pledge, so we'll pass that. Is there anything to add to the agenda?
Did we want to add what Keith has been working on that was sent out to all the commissioners?
I was going to bring that up during my portfolio report. We're just waiting for feedback.
Okay.
I don't think it's complete yet, so we won't be voting on it.
Right.
So,
Just wanted to make sure.
okay, with that, we approve the agenda.
So move, or you approved it? You want a motion to?
I motioned.
Okay. Second.
Okay, Tim?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, yes. Okay, approve the March 12th, or March 11th meeting minutes?
Yep.
Have you had a chance to review those?
There's a correction on them. In the middle of the front page where it says Thomas would like permission to offer $30,000 for that land, it should be Thomas motioned to offer instead of would like to ask permission.
I would move to approve the corrected minutes.
Second. Further discussion? Tim?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Approve the March 26th special meeting minutes?
So move.
Second. Question, comments? Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes. March financials, everybody review those? I had a couple questions earlier from Chelsea, but she answered them, so. Okay, any motion to approve by anyone?
I'll move to approve them.
Second. Comments? Tim?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes. Rainbow Energy, come on up, people.
Absolutely.
On there, do you guys have a handout?
Yep, we do.
You do?
We do,
I'm just
yeah.
going to walk through those a little bit. Let me introduce myself. I'm Stacy Cheddar. I'm the CEO of Rainbow Energy Center, and sure appreciate the opportunity to come here today. Hopefully go over a lot of information. Most of this, or some of it, you guys have probably seen before. I think it'll be important. I'm here to answer any questions you may have. And to really kind of give you an update, there's a lot of exciting things that are going on up here at Coal Creek.
Just one thing, the chair does go up if you want to.
I was going to say, I feel like I'm sitting on the floor, but I didn't know if
There you go.
on there.
Thought I'd do you a favor there.
Yeah, thank you. I was like, it's a lot. So just a little recap here. We're a privately held company. We're based out of Bismarck, North Dakota. I am the CEO with other family members and partners. We're long North Dakotans. I was born and raised in Bismarck, and we're excited about where we've been for the last 3 to 4 years. For those that remember, the clouds were a little dark a few years ago when Jeremy made that announcement. And so one of the things that when we looked at this project, we looked at it and said, how can we bring value to the project? How can we go ahead and look at the existing assets? And how can we actually extract value in the future and build off that? And what I mean by that is that we weren't looking to go ahead and purchase this and put a Band-Aid on it and just limp it along. And so I'm going to go through some of the things that we're doing on capital expenditures. Exciting times. We are busy. We are working 26 hours a day to implement our vision. And so when I talk about the assets, Coal Creek Station is basically is one of the best assets in the state, along with the Nexus line, which is the transmission line that goes from the plant down to Minnesota, 436 miles. We're participants in the MISO market, meaning that our power goes into MISO, which is the Midwest ISO. It's an independent system operator that kind of controls that. So all of our power from the plant goes down to Minneapolis. We have no load. No load as far as retail load, like a traditional utility. We have existing load at the site that we're building off of, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So when we look at our partners up there, we looked at purchasing this. First conversation I had was North American Coal. And I can tell you today we are a customer of North American Coal / Falkirk, but I really truly look at this as a partnership. that we are driving together, we're pulling in the same direction. So I can just tell you that the relationship that we're building with North American Coal, I'm very proud to have that relationship, and it continues to be fostered. Great River Energy, prior owner, when we purchased this, they took 100% of the output, and that was part of the arrangement. Then it backed off, and now they have also been building up where they're purchasing more of the energy off that plant. And so I can go in great lengths as far as looking at the markets and what's happening in the markets, and I can just tell you that for those that say the energy demand is going down, I can tell you that is not, that we're seeing growth, significant growth. Now, I come from a background of commodity trading, been doing it for 30 years, and we trade all the United States, Canada, and Mexico. So we always are looking at the different low growth areas, and what we're seeing across the board is tremendous growth in the United States. And a lot of inputs of what's causing that. One key thing is, you guys heard of, AI? I know it's a buzzword, but it's one that I will just share with you, that there's so much growth in that space. What you're seeing today, we're just starting. It reminds me of where we were in 1996 for dial-up internet. So blockchain technology, that is just rolling out. I see massive growth in that space over the next 5, 10, 15 years. So another important partner of ours, we provide the steam to Blueflint, and we continue to do that today. We also provide them with the water, and I'm happy to report they are in their carbon capture project they brought online last fall, and they are sequestering CO2 right now just to the west of Coal Creek Station. Very successful, and there's many others. When I talk about how we got here today, I really talk about the state of North Dakota. There's a lot of people that have gotten us to where we are today through the help and the support, and we're going to continue to need that going forward. So why do we do what we do? Stronger future, innovation. How do we build off the legacy that GRE has? We're up for the challenge. We're committed to these communities. We talk about over 600 jobs between the plant and the mine. The impact that we have on the state is about $1.5 billion a year. That's just not one time, that's per year. I see that number going up to $3 billion. To date, we've already hired about 65 between us and Falkirk hired 65 employees. That is going to go to 100. So when you talked earlier about you've seen some prices and stuff like that, we are just starting of executing on our plan. And when I talk about all the different things that we're doing on the extrinsic opportunities, I get wickedly excited, because this is really taking an existing energy park and supersizing it, but bringing in other value-added opportunities, and they're big dollars. And I'll go through a couple of those a little bit later. So since we purchased it, I can tell you my phone rings. The deal flow that I talk day in and day out with Jessica. There's a lot of people looking to team up with us or partner with us with different opportunities. I just want to share with you that we come from an oil and gas background. We have interest in over 5,000 wells out in the Bakken. We are pro-fossil fuels. And I will raise my hand in front of anyone and say that we believe in fossil fuels, and I'll continue to do that over and over again. I do not have the influences of Wall Street telling me what to say or do. And some of the other, I call it the strong left, are influenced in great companies. And we have them in North Dakota, the Basins and the Otter Tails and those things. So we have the luxury as a private company not to be influenced by Wall Street. And that is very, very important, because we can do what we believe is the right thing to do. And that's what we're doing. So for Coal Creek, it's about 1,000, call it 1,200 megawatts. Everybody knows it's right beside Underwood. We purchased it in 2022. It's coal-fired. We go about 8 million tons a year out there. And that's going to increase in the future. We're looking at other opportunities to increase that. So they just celebrated 45 years of coal delivery, North American Coal. That was pretty awesome. I mentioned about the transmission line being 436 miles. That HVDC line, which is owned by Nexus Line, is a very important piece to why we purchased this. It's Coal Creek with the line, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how we look to monetize that line, where GRE just used as an extension cord to take the power from the plant to their load. We are looking to monetize that through providing transmission service. As it sits today, nothing changes. There's existing capacity on that line. We have more injection rates than we have generation, so I'll talk a little bit about that. This is pretty impressive, the 99% availability. We had a situation last December, ice storm, 80 miles, started arcing together. We tripped those lines during those times. Once again, nothing was damaged. We're thankful of that. But the availability of that 99.5% that's, the HVDC line is a tank. And so our vision as we look through the future, the capital investments to date, we have spent a significant amount at Coal Creek. We will continue to deploy capital for opportunities. When we look at the safety side, everyone every day. Our community is important. GRE was very much driven for the community. We're going to continue to be that. It's very important to us. Innovate. We're going to leave no stone unturned. And we're not. We are working hard to basically bring this, what I say Coal Creek, into really to extend the runway of Coal Creek for the long term. And so collaboration is important, sustainability, and the mindset of how do we look at this in the carbon management world. And I'll talk a little bit about that, and I'll probably answer some questions you guys may have on carbon capture and stuff. So we look at the vision, Coal Creek Station, optimize the efficiency of the plant. Every day when I get up, I look at Coal Creek and I look at Falkirk Mine. That is the primary. When I start talking about these extrinsic opportunities, they all stem from the operation of Coal Creek Station. So we look at the revenue buckets, Coal Creek. You got the energy component, you got the capacity component, you got the steam going to Blue Flint, you got the fly ash business. Those are all real important, but at the end of the day, you have to be available. The plant needs to be available for the other things to work. And so we're going to maximize on the transmission line, meaning that we're going to fully subscribe that line. We're looking to bring on renewables, Discovery Wind. I'll talk a little bit about that in a bit. In carbon management, we're at the back end of our feed study that we started. We started the feed study in March of 2022 prior to us owning it. And that talk about getting ahead of ourselves. That's about a $15 million study that we committed to do that, and that's on the carbon management side. So we believe it's very clear, there's no ambiguity here, that to run the plant at the top is the best thing to do. And how do you achieve that? You got a day like today where the energy is not in demand. So we're creating load at the site also. We've started building on our own data center at the load, and that's continuing to build out. We're going to have approximately 200 megawatts available by the end of August, and it'll be going up to 400 megawatts. That's a big deal. That's very significant. So what you're doing is, ultimately, you want to keep the plant at the top. Don't come off, ever. It's just like going on the interstate. You go 65 or 70 and don't lay off if that's your best efficiency. It allows a lot of certainty to the fly ash business, because they can sell the fly ash. The steam guys love it because they know exactly how much steam they need. The coal guys love it because they can right size the mine and say, I need this amount of people for this activity. So it's clear for us that's what needs to be done. We have the luxury of doing that where GRE did not, because it was more market driven based on the conditions of the weather. So we're creating load at the site. We understand the mindset of sustainability is reduce our carbon footprint. And how do we do that? When we talk about the fly ash business, that was a business that was built years ago. And now we're going ahead and taking the bottom ash, which was disposed of. We're going to grind it down and we're blending it with our fly ash. We're taking our FGD, flue gas desulfurization, instead of putting that in the ground, we're going to make gypsum out of it. So we're taking two waste products and now in the future going to make it into beneficial use. That's what it's all about. And so ultimately having a beneficial use for two products that are waste, and so that's pretty exciting. The fly ash from Coal Creek is the top in the class, and I'm not bragging about it, I just want to make sure you guys understand that when it comes to Minnesota, if it didn't have fly ash from Coal Creek Station, it'd be hurt. All their interstates, all their bridges, everything else, a lot of this fly ash goes down to Minnesota. Most people don't realize that it is the top of the class. It's DOT spec. And so we're going to enhance that. We're going to about 500,000 tons we do a year. we're going to be going to 850,000 tons. Definitely a big mover for it. It's really taking what GRE has built and how do we bring it to the next level. So reducing waste streams is going to be important for us always. We're going to always be wrestling with our friends at the EPA. EPA are always going to have some challenges. We're not scared of challenges. We can work through a lot of those. They're not always easy. I'm really happy to know or to report that, the state of North Dakota has North Dakota's back. I really cannot be more proud of what is happening in North Dakota through the leadership and how important these coal plant baseload reliable generators are, that people are starting to wake up and recognize it. And they're really, some of them is just getting education of, where that power comes from. I will talk about wind, I'll talk about solar, I'll talk about those things, but I'll also be very honest with everyone. Those are intermittent resources. They are not baseload generators. You cannot depend on them. They're going to be running 40% of the time. For Coal Creek Station, to date, this year, it's probably about a 98, 99% of the time. Who would I rather choose? Coal Creek Station. So, Nexus line, talked about the availability. Buffalo, Minnesota, this is selfishly, when I look at North Dakota and what I call, the most valuable asset that North Dakota has is its people. Secondly, I believe it's the transmission line at Coal Creek Station. I will argue and go head to head with anybody saying how important this is for North Dakota. And how can we go ahead and take that from where it's at today to the next level? And I'll talk about a little bit of these extrinsic opportunities. The wind project that's coming in front of the county tomorrow, something we've been working on. It was part of the plan from day one. And so when we looked at purchasing Coal Creek Station, we laid out a plan, but we wanted to work with the stakeholders and say, does this plan fit? I don't want to force plans through. So I wanted to meet with the county. I wanted to meet with North America Coal. I wanted to meet with the state. I wanted to say, this is our vision. This is what we want to do. Are we in support of that? And wind has always been a part of it. And the wind isn't owned by Rainbow. We're providing transmission service to the wind developer. GRE is the one that's buying the power from the wind developer. That has to be very clear, and none of that power stays in North Dakota. 100% of it goes down to Minnesota. So when I say +1, meaning the Coal Creek can stay in operation, and a +1 is to add this wind, it's not that the wind just doesn't affect Coal Creek. The +1 is the revenues that we receive from the transmission on that line goes back to Coal Creek Station. That's a tremendous value. And I have fallen short to really kind of explain that to the level that needs to be explained, is that wind project is a really important project for the counties, for Coal Creek Station, for the state of North Dakota, for GRE. And it was part of our plan from day one. And so I'm excited to go to the hearing tomorrow. And I know that there's some people that may be against it. I believe that there's more people in support of it. I know the importance of having the relationship with North American Coal. Of, they look at this and say this is a good thing, and because it is a +1. And for a coal plant to team up with a wind, that's very unusual. But what we're doing is we're providing transmission service across the HVDC line. And so you guys may have seen the maps from Apex. But once again, Apex is the developer. The wind project is called Discovery. And who's buying that? It is basically GRE. Carbon management. People ask me this question all the time, Steve. This whole carbon management stuff is all silliness. And they say, what do you mean? And they say, well, carbon is not a waste. And I said, I don't think it's a waste either. I think it's a commodity. I think there's an economic benefit. How are we going to go ahead as the state of North Dakota lead in this? We have so many things going for us in North Dakota. First of all, it's the leadership. Second of all, having primacy, meaning that we self-regulate, and having common sense. We have a lot of common sense in North Dakota. We don't have a lot of common sense out in North Dakota. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I can tell you that I will buy North Dakota all day long over Washington, D.C. And so having primacy that our leadership worked 6 years on and getting is really important. But we also have to look at the future and say, what is CO2 going to be in the future? What could it do? Enhanced oil recovery that we are not extracting, like when I drill an oil well, we're extracting about 22%, 18 to 22% of the oil. We are leaving as a state about 5 to 6 billion barrels of oil down there. If we can go ahead and stimulate and get that back, what does it mean to North Dakota? And it means everything. When you talk about 5 to 6 billion, who owns the most oil in North Dakota? North Dakota. They get 10% of every cut. Every barrel we produce, they get 10%. This is a really important piece when we start talking about carbon capture, and I truly want people to look at it as a business opportunity. Who can solve this? North Dakota can solve this. Over any state in the union, there's no other state. Well, Wyoming has primacy, and they're pretty good, but they're not as good as North Dakota. And so I look at this part of it. Is there going to be challenges? Yes. Do they have the right price associated with what we believe the value of that carbon is? Because I look at it as not a waste. I look at it as a commodity, as an economic benefit. So we have partners in that. The ERC out of Grand Forks, first class, top of the line. Been working with them. The front-end engineering design, which is the FEED study we're coming out of. We'll be stepping into a bridge study, really evaluating. These are massive projects. This is billions of dollars. As you can imagine, the amount of work that needs to be done in engineering it, we got to get this right. There's no, I always tell the group, I said, we have to get this right out of the gates because all eyes are watching as the biggest carbon capture project in the world is looking to take place at Coal Creek Station. We got to get this right. So we're going to be working through commercialization, the path, and identify. We went through the first tranche. We have a tremendous amount of redundancy. So we continue to evaluate, understanding the pressures, the formations and different things. We're smarter today than we were yesterday, and we'll continue to roll that out. And we were fortunate to get a grant from the U.S. or the Department of Energy, Carbon Safe, received to do some testing and 3D seismic up at the plant. And so this is, when I talk about all these, I kind of look at it, it's like, wow, there's a lot going on. And there really is. I mean, the team at the plant, the team at Falkirk, the team we have in Bismarck, we are working hard to execute. And I always tell people the difference between us and anybody else, we're not smart, but it's all about execution. It's about doing what you say you're going to do. And what's nice for us is we can be tremendously transparent on what we're doing. There's no secrets. This is what we're doing. This is why we're doing it. And so I'd be happy to answer. I went through this really quickly.
Yeah.
I appreciate your guys' patience on it. And I'm open. I'm an open book. If I don't know the answer, I'll get you the answer. But I'd be more than happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Well, it was quick, but it wasn't like drinking out of a fire hose, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just had, a couple of questions. The Discovery Wind isn't a for sure thing. I mean, it's in the process, right? That's why you're going through all the permitting and the.
Tomorrow there'll be a avoidance zone hearing.
Right.
Tomorrow night at 7 o'clock.
Right.
At the Keller House.
Okay.
And so that's the first step.
Yeah.
And that's basically a step to identify, is there avoidance areas within their area. So
Right.
That's the first step.
Right. Yeah, because I know there is some concern among some landowners in that, which is, rightly so. So hopefully that can all be addressed too.
Yes.
Yeah, which is a difficult process. But I guess my biggest question, probably concern would be, we've heard I've only been on commission 2.5 years. I'm filling an unfulfilled term, whatever. Yeah, anyways, never mind. But we've, Rachel's talked to us and others as far as the lack of housing in Washburn and the potential for the amount of people that, may or may not, need housing in the area. And of course, the city really doesn't want to get into the, development business, but to be able to attract a developer, we would need something that's pretty hard and fast, to make it worth their while. So hopefully we can work together if that is something that's going to be needed futuristically. If all of these things over the years, come into play.
I look at where everything was, in 2020, 2019 with the announcement and the different things that are going on and where I see this future of these communities. It's a bright future. And for Washburn, for Wilden, for Garrison, for Underwood. These projects are big projects.
Right.
I mean, they take people.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be that challenge is attracting those right individuals. I would hope to think that when there are these type of deals being laid out and they're actually cemented and they got permits and they're deploying, that you would have investors. And there's a lot of them in North Dakota, and I know, or down in Bismarck, I know quite a few of them, but would they really have to start looking at where 3 years ago people were saying, should we sell our house? I mean, I'm very sympathetic to that. These employees would come home and, I'm sure their wife or husband would say, did you hear anything today? Did you hear anything today? It's like, should we sell the house? What should we do? And, they're worried about those things. I look at that today and I say, boy, there's an opportunity for these communities to grow and to grow in a positive way and to be able to raise families and create this, these are great towns and how can we build off of that? So they're going to need it. So we're going to need it.
Because it was about a year and a half ago, we formed that housing committee. And what we tried to do is, we had community members and some commissioners just to identify, vacant lots in town. And I think we identified like 33 lots, but I think there was only 3 or 4 people that wanted to sell their lot because they have that lot because they want a neighbor or they want to do this or that. And so to be able to look futuristically, because if we grow so far, at what point does our infrastructure such as sewage and that type of thing need to be added onto? So there's a lot of different factors that, as you've been through this, play in. So all I'm asking is that if we could have some kind of a contact or an open dialogue with someone that, okay, this is kind of what we're thinking, so that you're working hand in hand with the cities, not only us, but I'm sure Underwood, Wilton too, of what potential might be there, because we certainly don't want a housing development put in and then 10 years later there's weeds growing through the street because something went the other direction, so.
Those are great points, because it's even the projects that we have up there, inclusive of some of the other projects in the state, that we're trying our best to work with. We have a great working relationship with Mac McClendon, the CEO of Dakota, what he's doing over at Tundra. And you start looking at his projects and what we're doing, and then also we work hand in hand with the Basin Electrics. I mean, their load growth is hyperbolic, and so how can we continue to work together? Labor is labor. And when I say that, I mean, the number one thing that I got from at the beginning is when they said, oh, you're going to buy this, and they said, how many people are you going to lay off when you buy it? And I'm like, lay off? I go, we're building. Right. We're not subtracting. And so I'm so proud to be able to announce that we have added, probably 65 plus, not counting these are full-times. These aren't temporary. There's still another 20 on that. But that is going to continue to grow as we deploy these projects coming out. And we're doing it in a manageable way. But there's a point here where you start looking at carbon capture, having thousands of people. When they built Coal Creek in 79 and 80.
I was here. It was the Wild West. But, and there was one of the young men on our committee mentioned the fact that, like when, Larry's a lifetime resident too, but when, at that point, most of the families came and they established themselves, in Washburn, Underwood, that type of thing. But he said, it's a little bit different mindset now, where you probably will get a bigger percentage that would want to live in Bismarck, which is fine, and do the carpool thing if the spouse is working down there. But I know there's no solid answer, no easy way to answer it, but just going forward, if we could have that communication line open, so that we know, okay, and then also to get a developer, it's going to take more than us to sell it. It's going to take a partnership, with you guys to be able to sell it.
And I definitely, we can do a better job on giving you guys transparency. And also the time frames. The timeline.
And I mean, you guys have been transparent because it's, it's in the future that we're going to be looking, we've got to really seriously be looking at it. But we have been looking at different options, different land, different places that we can, continue infrastructure and that type of thing. But a developer is going to want to say, okay, well, what kind of can't have a guarantee, but what kind of a guarantee can I have that this is actually going to come to fruition? So,
and I think we can be helpful of that, because I do know, like I mentioned, quite a few from Bismarck, and sharing kind of the vision. Rainbow has always been very hesitant on getting over our skis, meaning I'd rather come to you guys and say, this is what I've done, and this is what we're doing, versus this is what we're going to do. But I have to be respectful of understanding this is much bigger than just what we're doing at Rainbow.
Right.
These communities and stuff like that. So we need to plan and we need to do those things.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I'm always very conservative because when we talk about things, I want to make sure that we deliver on them because that's how I'm going to earn the trust.
Yeah.
Is
So-
getting it done.
Yeah, if you could just let us know who the contact person or contact group is so that, we have that communication, open there. So
For sure.
then the only other question I had, it really doesn't make any difference citywide, but do you guys own a lot of land out there? Do you have a big enough amount of area? Are you gonna have to purchase more land for this footprint expansion or?
Well, between a combination of us and Falkirk, we have 45,000 or 50,000 acres.
That's a big.
We did
chunk.
recently purchase some just to the west of the plant, and it was more for strategically for a substation.
Yeah.
We built one substation already. It's called the ARC substation. We got that online. We did that in 9 months. Should take 24 months. More, so we just share that. That's how we want to make sure we're moving forward on it quickly. But we're going to be building another substation called the Rainbow Substation. It's going to be about a $41 million project also. And that was part of that land west. I don't see a big portion of land necessary for us in the future. There's some strategic areas that bring some efficiencies. Nothing that actually is necessary to make to do, meaning I have to get this or I can't do this project.
Right.
It's just bringing efficiencies and operations and understanding that traffic lanes, you're talking fly ash.
Yeah.
What can we do to go ahead and enhance to make sure the safety of the drivers? I mean, Blue Flint brings a lot of trucks in there also.
Oh, yeah.
And so how can we continue to work together? We have with Jeff Zuger a great, strong working relationship. We try to be as transparent as we possibly can with each other so we can collectively try to solve some of these so they don't become an issue. But I don't anticipate a lot of land.
Yeah, and I apologize. That was more of a curiosity question. When I was a kid, I used to help my grandpa farm out in that area. Now, if he was still alive, he would probably tell you I probably wasn't that much help. But anyway, I spent a lot of time out there, so it was more of a curiosity question. But
yeah, well, there's some strategic areas that I think can help bring some efficiencies.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
so
Yeah, that's all I got. Thank you, Stacy.
I have a question. Wasn't this gypsum plant idea GRE's idea years and years ago?
one of the things that the answer to the question, I did study this, yes. So I always want to be careful too. Some of the things that we're doing, it's not that we're geniuses, it's we're actually going to execute on some of the plans that they laid out. The big difference though, Don, is that when we look at both products where they did not have an answer for the bottom ash, and so that's what was always a waste product. And so for us to bring on an extra 350,000 to 400,000 tons a year of that, what's going to be called coal ash in the future, now we have about 125,000 to 150,000 of SGG material. That isn't really, when you look at wallboard, if you look at some, that is not a significant, it's not like I could build a factory there and say I'm going to get in the wallboard business. That volume does not meet the requirements. They're going to have to be closer to 500,000 to 600,000. That market also using it for beneficial use on egg, for pH enhancement, for fertilizer type. That's an opportunity too, that you can use that. So what we have to do is we got to take that FGD and we got to take it from a sulfite to a sulfate to a sulfite. We got to oxidize that, and there's a big process to doing that. It's expensive.
Yeah, I know.
We got a big project coming.
And I have another question. All that excavation that's going on the east side over there, you taking bottom stuff out and you're putting it on top of the ash pile, correct?
That is actually GRE's, so they're responsible for Raise 92. So we're taking some of that material and using it for top. That is correct, on Raise 92, which ultimately is going to be closed here in the next 2 years. The hope is to get that all closed up, so that's the material.
So that topsoil you took off of there is going to go back on top of the land again?
On top of, yes, Raise 92.
Where you took it out?
No, Raise 92 is basically the landfill. So when you come into the plant on the right side, the big looks like a ski mountain up there, that's what it's going to be on top of that. That's where we're putting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the topsoil that's left over there, that great big pile out there that's near Schultz's Pond, That's gonna go on top of the stuff that you're excavating out?
I'm not familiar with that one. I could get that answer from you, but
You know what I'm talking about.
I do, and I haven't asked that specific question, but I do know there's an agreement with the landowner, in that area to, you know, that meets his requirements on his property.
one of the things is I want to make sure that, you know, we talk about Race 92, which is going to be closed here in the next few years. As we go to dry, we're going to close Race 91.
We are.
Yes, and so I won't have any material put in it. So a zero discharge plant is pretty special, and I'm taking two products to beneficial use. So Race 91, so I'm going to need material to go ahead and close that. And so I don't know some of that stuff, if they're stocking for whatever reason, I don't have that, but I can get that answer.
I was just kinda curious. It's just a question I have.
Yep. Okay.
The, going to dry, is that gonna be a big difficulty for the bottom ash area?
Going to dry is I'm taking that to dry to make it into a gypsum, so basically I won't have a CCR facility in the future. So I do have section 16, which is a dry storage area. I call that more of an emergency. If you had a hard time getting away from the product, I could put gypsum to that spot. I also have section 32 to the north. But I want to preserve that because there's some harvesting opportunities in the future, and I want to go back to where they buried the fly ash and dig it up. Those are things that I share those with you because it really talks about the entrepreneurial spirit of constantly looking at what is beneficial, what can bring value back to Cold Creek Station. When I say I want to turn over the rock, we absolutely will do that and make sure we're bringing that value back to Cold Creek Station. And so that is some, you know, the fly ash business, because they're shutting down all these plants, they're losing the material. So that is going like this.
Okay, then I have another question for you. The bottom ash that's buried in that huge pile over there on the southeast side of the plant, which looks like a ski mound over there.
Mm-hmm.
Are there minerals in there that you can extract for future use?
You know, we're looking on the pre-combustion side of precious metals and rare earths. And so there's a study up by the University of North Dakota. We're part of that study with Falkirk is to evaluate on the pre-combustion side. I'm going to get way over my skis if I start talking technical on that, but I know that there's some more challenges. Not saying it could not be done, but there's more of a cost process of a washing that needs to be done to extract those. We do see signs of some opportunities, and we're turning over those rocks too to see if there's rare earths. And we know there are. Can you get us commercial? What does that commercial look like? Can we go ahead and do the washing and still combust? You know, those type of things. We're working through it.
'Cause that's over 40 years worth of fly ash in those piles. And there's a lot of minerals that probably can be extracted from them.
It's true. Yep. And can you do it in a cost-effective way? And that's those are the things that we have, these special projects that we're constantly going to do the R&D and research on. I'm very thankful for the University of North Dakota and their research council, the Green Energy Council. So we're interested in those things, and we want to participate in those. We've been doing that.
I don't mean to put you behind the 8 ball, but I have questions that have
I
to
like
ask.
him. I like him because it's exactly, he must be sitting in our office listening to some of the different things that are going on. So thank you.
So I think Tim answered a lot of my question, or had a lot of my questions. You know, I think timeline is really important to us to know, you know, as far as developments and stuff like that. And just for my curiosity too, I was reading somewhere that you might get involved with the Iron Range in Minnesota.
Yeah, they got ahead of their skis in the state of North Dakota when they kind of got that in the press. As I mentioned earlier, I'm very cautious because when things are in the beginning stage in the feed study side of things, I can tell you that it was 2 weeks ago I flew out there and did my tour and looked at it. And when I look at business opportunities, what's really important for us is when we see a business partnership or arrangement in the future, I want to make sure they have a viable business.
Sure.
And so I want to make sure, A, they have supply. Do they have supply? Cool. They got supply. It was overwhelming. I've never been in a higher range. I did a full tour, full day. I was like, wow. And then understanding that process, I come from an energy commodity trading background. I don't come from steel industry. So, and having offtake agreements. And so where we can bring value, do we have water? Yeah. We got rail? Yeah. We got electricity? Yeah. There's a lot of things that we bring to them that, and then also, it's always amazing, I gotta be careful here, is they're coming from Minnesota and they're coming to North Dakota. And they're coming to North Dakota because North Dakota is open for business. There's people willing to roll up their sleeves, get dirty, and figure things out. And that is not always the case in other states. I can promise you that the stuff that we do will not happen in any other state. They will regulate you.
Right.
To death.
Because it's a liberal state.
Any other questions from anybody?
So when do you sleep?
Yeah.
When do I sleep? I can say this is really, these are exciting times. It's been 2 years. Not because I've slept, but it's been 2 years since we've taken over ownership, and continuing at the end of it, I say it over and over again, we will earn everybody's trust through execution. By executing our plan, and part of the plan is what we laid out 2 years ago is the same plan we have today. It's about getting it done. And so I'm excited to be a part of it. I'm excited to lead it. I have such a wonderful team of people, entrepreneurs, people that are constantly driving to do the best thing. And so Coal Creek Station has a bright future, and I'm excited to take it to the next level and create an opportunity for not for 5 years, 10 years, but a long, long term.
Top-notch plant for a long time.
It is.
I just really wonder, if you wouldn't have bought it, where we'd be sitting right now.
Yeah.
Zero.
It would be bad. It would be bad.
It is. I'm going to mention that tomorrow, not to reflect on the negativity, but what it took, that all hands on deck, it took the county to put the brakes on, say, whoa, let's slow this thing down, take a deep breath, let's try to work with each other to figure out a plan going forward. And then I still look at it today, it's going to take all hands on deck for us to get this executed. These aren't easy projects to get done. And so having the support of North American Coal means everything to me. Having the support of the communities, the state, GRE continues. And I feel to some extent, I wish I could share as much as their commitment to Coal Creek of keeping it alive. They're buying the power from it. They're buying the capacity from it along with others, but they're willing to do that. And David, those employees, he said, those are the best of the best I've ever had. And so I say that because GRE is a partner, and they'll continue to be a partner in the future. They have a need, and we got some energy, and we want to work with them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm always open, for these type, myself or part of my team to come up. And I think for us, as we continue to layer things out, I think it's important for us to kind of maybe put on paper a few things and kind of put some time frames on kind of where we see COD date for this. If we're successful in the win, and I hope we are. I really do. I really, tomorrow, I really hope everybody looks at this and says, is this good for the community? Unbelievably good for the community. Is it good for Coal Creek? Is it good for Falkirk? Is there a lot of winners in that? I do believe that. But we have some people that don't, and I respect that. They have landowner rights. They have they have an opinion on it. So, but.
Well, I'm glad you came out to talk to us, and
Yes.
and a lot easier hearing it from, say, the top dog as it is hearing it from a representative who can't express all the things that you told us today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Stacy.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good luck tomorrow.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, next, planning and zoning appointment. We have Christie, a month, right? A month? month, MAUTZ. So I move that we appoint Christie to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
I'll second that.
Tim?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are now have a full committee for planning and zoning.
Yeah. Yay. Planning and zoning recommendation, we had a public hearing today. Excuse me, for Nathan Renford. He needed a variance to build a shop before he builds the house down at the land he purchased down there. And we had neighbors there that were definitely in full support of it. So the planning and zoning recommended approving the variance. So I will move that the city approves that.
Second.
Discussion? Tim?
Yes.
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 Okay. Yes. Ordinance 159, second reading.
There are no changes in that, so I would move that we would waive the second reading and approve it as presented.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Discussion? Tim?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Ready, Chelsea?
Yeah.
Okay. Resurfacing Memorial Building gym floor. So we got some quotes. What's the difference between water and oil-based?
Let me find.
I see they're different prices.
Yeah, the oil is a little more durable. It has more of an odor than the water-based finish, and it gives more of a yellowish color to the finish. So she said that if you have any white paint, white lines on the floor, the oil-based finish will yellow them a little bit. The water-based finish goes on clear and leaves the wood's original color to show through the finish. And then the cure time for the oil is considerably longer than the water-based, where the water-based is 48 hours, and then oil-based is a week, I believe. Does she have in here? Yeah, 1 week for oil-based and 48 hours for water-based. She kind of said it depends on what the floor is used for and what we're trying to achieve, but more times than not, they recommend the water-based because of the cure time and the clear finish. And she did say that if we're doing a yearly maintenance on the floor or even bi-yearly, then water-based should hold up perfectly fine.
Is this the same company that put the floor in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Brandon's the guy that I went to first, but then Laura is the one that takes care of all that, so I'm still communicating with both of those.
So they definitely know our floor. So,
Yeah, they know what we put in.
so what would be the timeline if we do this?
So
do we need it right away? I mean, do we need it now, or I'm assuming we probably do?
we need to do it this summer, yes.
Okay.
Based off of what's gone on there, and then marks that they're finding over there and issues that are happening already. I think it would be smart to have it resurfaced this summer.
Yeah.
So I know they did say that they have crews in the area, either the week of May 20th or the week of June 3rd. Depending on what day they can come, it might have some conflicts with what we have already booked in there.
When is Riverboat Days?
June 1st. Well, Friday, June 1st and Saturday that they're in there. And then we have a wedding the following weekend. So if they could get in there right away, and then it depends on too what option we chose, either water or oil.
Right.
Depending on when I said that, if they could come or not. So.
Well, I really don't think we want it yellow it. I think that would, I mean, there's a lot of money to make it look nice. I don't think we want to do that.
A big part as well is like the cure time and the smell from under ventilation. It could stink in there for
Smell
quite a while
could
with
be a
the oil.
bad thing, yeah.
I exclusively use water-based in my small shop basement.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, I agree.
ventilation, it's the same thing. I don't know what ventilation is like in there, but
I
something
agree.
to definitely consider.
How often do we have to do this? How many years apart?
Well, we can do it yearly or we can do it bi-yearly depending on the use and what goes in there. But unfortunately, that floor is not just used for sport purposes. It's an all-purpose floor, so it's already seeing wear and tear and scuff and markings on it.
Well, I think they said something about, right away, do it yearly, and then you can, as time goes on, you can probably do it biannually.
Yeah,
On that account that was, transferred to a special account to pay for the floor, is that depleted?
yes,
Okay, because they said if there was something left, it could go towards this, so but that's been depleted.
yeah,
Okay,
there's $35 in there.
almost enough to keep it open.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think we need to do it.
Yeah, oh yeah, but I was just saying, I know that was.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it looks like the water base is our best option for, like he said, for the smell, and then like you said, for the yellow. So.
Yeah.
Okay, can we approve it at this meeting? Yeah.
Yep. Okay, I would move that we would go with the water base,
Second.
and then, that's okay. Yeah, that's all I have, but I was just gonna say in the discussion part of it.
Okay. We have motion second, discussion.
Yeah, that's where I jumped to the discussion part.
And can we get it in by,
Well, that's
first
where I
part
was,
of June?
that's where I was going, and then just let the office, do the scheduling, because they've got everything there, you guys figure out when it's gonna work.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, that doesn't need to be in the motion, but anyway.
No, that's just a discussion. So.
Yep. Okay.
Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes. Land purchase, from last meeting, I did meet with Mr. Perkarovich, and we agreed on $31,000 for the land back here. Originally I offered 30, we agreed on 31, so I will make a motion that we, do the purchase, $31,000.
Second.
Discussion? Tim?
That'll give us the whole chunk then to work with. So.
Yes, it will.
Calling for vote?
Yes.
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 Yes, yes, yes. Summer hours. I know that.
Keith?
Sure. Working good.
Yep, so we looked into that a little bit more as requested, and we came up with a recommendation to move in that direction, for sure. Obviously, some of the particulars can be still figured out, if we want to do this time and that time, or whatever, but I think it would be best, because I know there has been some talk or whatever about like alternating and that sort of stuff, but that just adds a lot of overhead to this in terms of like, if someone's already working 40 hours, then do they work in full normal schedule during this time? Who keeps track of that? How do you switch that? There's just a lot of different issues with that. So if, I guess, part of my recommendation is to be a jump, it'd be all the way to trying this out, not like a sort of halfways trying to work it out. And I guess I haven't really heard any complaints or anything from community members that would be huge inconvenience. I guess just working on this, no one's really called me or anything like that, or they had a huge issue with it. So I can mainly see benefit, and I can't really see any downside, but I guess I'm definitely open to discussion and that sort of stuff.
What benefit do you see?
The benefit I see would be, it's almost like a benefit that you can give to your employees of flexibility, which a lot of people look for in this day and age, and it's at no cost to us, like additional costs. Obviously, there's a little bit less availability in one section, but your throughput is still there in other days, and then you also have increased capacity as well. So if someone's there before they go to work, then they can have that time to go in there. If they're here a little bit later, then they pop out, then they come here. So it's not like we're trying to close it off from the community, but rather it moves our capacity from a place that didn't really have too much demand, as we saw, to places where it could be more useful, possibly. So I do think it's worth a try. So that'd be a benefit, would be a benefit for flexibility for employees as well as to the community in terms of more flexibility and when they can show up here.
So how are you gonna cover those 4 hours on Friday afternoon if something comes up, you're gonna have to use overtime then?
No, same thing we do if there's you're talking like a water main break or something.
Well, yeah,
It'd be the same thing as if it
but
happened on.
I mean for the office personnel, say, there's something comes up that Chelsea has to do some accounting or something in the afternoon. How are you gonna fill that, then you're gonna use overtime to fill that?
It would be done, you're still getting the 40 hours then.
I know, but she'll, say she has to stay in the afternoon, which is normally her day to work until 4:30. Say she has to stay until 4:30, and she's already worked 4 9s and a half a day on Friday, so you're gonna fill that with overtime then?
I'm just curious what would cause that.
Right.
Well, I don't know, I'm just bringing it up as a suggestion because,
The answer is yes, it would be overtime.
Yeah, it would be
Yeah,
overtime,
it's
right?
just, the answer is yes.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just-
but something could come up, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think there'd be a very slight chance of that happening, and as far as like a water main break or anything, whether it happened on a Friday afternoon.
Right, I'm not talking
Saturday or
about water
something,
main,
right.
I'm just talking about Chelsea or haircuts.
I mean, I can see both sides of this, like Keith had alluded to there. It opens up a time frame when maybe people will have more accessibility to the city hall from 7 to 8. It's kind of like when the polls open here. The busiest time for voting is from 7 to 8:30 and from 4:30 on. So, and then the only thing is that on the 4th of July weekend, there would have to be an adjustment, to go regular hours. Otherwise, it would not work out. There are other cities that have done this. I see both sides. I'm willing to give it a try. I visited with a couple of community guys today, and they said people would adjust. So, and then also in looking for employees, it's something that people are looking at more and more of 410s or 4 9s and a 4, that type of thing. So.
What I look at is, I'm not a big fan of this, which I've mentioned before. I think we're here to serve the community. But with that being said, I think an 8 to 5:30 would be better than a 7 to 4:30. I think as far as our employees getting work done, it would be more beneficial in the afternoon than in the morning. That's my thought on that anyway. So.
Yeah, depending on the work, unless you had those hot July and August days where they're coming in early for mowing or tarring or something like that, because if they had an earlier start, it would be better. So it depends on the day and on the job. So, but yeah, I see your point.
Do they have is this for the office or is this
For everybody.
everybody?
Yeah.
Do the field guys have option to come in early and beat the heat if they want to or need to, mowing or summer work?
Adam can answer that, I guess.
I prefer to come in at 7 personally. Yeah, I would not choose to come and stay till 5:30.
I know there's times when that you would come in and either mow or maybe not mow early, but sweep early, right?
Especially it makes sense for us to come in early. It's in the summer, obviously. Yeah, it's beneficial for us to do a lot of stuff before people are moving around, which you don't get if you stay till 5:30. People are usually out and about at that time.
When you were talking about 5:30, were you talking about office or field or both?
Both.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
And for you guys, if you got to focus on something, is it nice to just be here before people start showing up for issues?
Yes,
So you get a little focus time in the morning?
yes. Which if we are here at 7, and we open it at 7, that's one thing as well. But yeah, if I come in early that time in the morning, or if a lot of nights I am here later than 4:30, that hour with the doors closed has been very nice, where I don't have to worry about those interruptions.
So what we're looking at is not to add this to the our policy handbook. We're just doing this as a trial this year is what we're talking.
At least, yeah, that'd be nice to at least try it.
I mean,
But, yeah.
I really don't want it in the policy handbook yet. I mean, if we should try it for a year if we're going to do it.
No, I would agree to try it for
Yeah.
a year and see what, and that, it's kind of like we've been trying to keep data on Friday afternoons, because they're normally quite slow. And so that's one of the things that triggered this. But I would agree, Larry, that, not to put it in the handbook,
Yeah.
to try it as on a trial basis for a year. So, and if it doesn't work, we keep track of it.
And I
go
saw
from there.
somewhere in this thing, it was,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
what
that
was
was,
the
That was
put it
put,
in the handbook or something yet.
And that was from when to when, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
yeah,
That's roughly 3 months, I'm guessing.
yeah. Yeah. I saw that was in there too, so, but no, I would agree. I would rather do it on a trial basis.
And we can look and see if 3 months is right, or 2 months is right, or,
Yep.
you know, or full
Yep.
time, whatever.
So,
I mean, I can just tell you last week on Friday, we had 2 phone calls and 1 person come in.
you had the phone on the hook, right?
It was.
Okay,
I don't count when you come in, sorry.
okay. Doesn't count?
But I'm sure there's a lot of days like that, so.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I guess to get it off dead center, I would move that we would do this 7 to 4:30 Monday through Thursday and 8 to noon on Friday on a trial basis for summer of '24 from Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Second.
Okay, motion and second, any further discussion? Tim?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Trial basis only.
I still like 8 to 5:30, like Larry mentioned, but I'll say yes.
I'm gonna say no, so it passed. Okay. And then we've got the policy handbook changes.
So we were looking at, and help me out here, Chelsea and Adam and Keith, there was no definition in there of when insurance would end. And so looking at, how other people do it and that type of thing, because you can still get COBRA, for 2 years, I believe it is, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So anyway, we thought that we needed to define that. And that's on that first page. And then we did the cell phone thing already. So that was added. The yellow things are what were added, correct, Adam?
Yes.
Yeah. And then the training thing, which we actually had changed at a previous meeting,
Yep.
was put in there. And then you had, if you want to explain the one on the bottom there of 22, rules of conduct, Adam. It says, being unable to make it into work due to weather event.
Right. As we talked about in the HR meeting, nothing's been decided about the next round of hiring yet. But the topic of perhaps being able to hire somebody within a radius of Washburn instead of just living inside of Washburn. And the concern about that is making sure that there's rules for them for needing to be here during a snow emergency or something. Nothing like that was exactly in the handbook, so we added this line, or I added this line, I guess, to kind of define that.
This line here actually would cover our current status of on-call employees.
That as well.
On a weekend, I guess is what I was looking at,
That too.
a situation where, I think we had one, this winter, so.
Yeah, that is true. That is not why I added it, I guess,
Right.
but that is, yes,
Just using, I realize that, but just
Yeah.
for an example.
100%. Yes.
Yeah. So whether we go with that radius versus the city, either way, this is something.
Still should stay in. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What kind of radius are you looking at?
That's to be determined.
That has nothing to do with this. So.
Yeah, nothing, yeah.
Okay.
So, this says due to a weather event. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a weather event. Because if somebody just doesn't come.
Well, there's attendance is marked in a different location, I believe.
Well, there's tardiness, absenteeism.
Yeah.
It needs to be the excessive absenteeism, but it wouldn't be like a single one. So if this would just kind of specify it to a weather event that you're on call for, even though it still fall under the
Yeah,
absenteeism.
and we can always adjust it later if we need
Right.
to. So you got this, all benefits terminate upon resignation, retirement, doubt, that, like your health insurance is paid like to the middle of the month or the end of the month, is that correct? It would be like So if you went on the 10th, you would still be covered till the 15th or whatever, so. But it's half months on that, so.
Right.
Yep.
Yep. You can only enroll or de-enroll, I guess, either the 1st or the 15th.
Perfect.
Do you want to put that in here for definition or?
No, it's already a policy.
Right, yeah,
You know,
okay,
so.
yep. So I would move that we would make these changes with the exception of hours of work. Is this a trial basis?
Second. Discussion? Tim?
Yes.
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 Hey, Adam, you want to explain this one?
Commercial meter maintenance fee.
I'm sorry, Larry.
I know you're hungry with power after our last meeting.
It was too short. Shouldn't have adjourned it so fast.
Okay, so right now, I believe residential and commercial both have a meter maintenance fee that's $1. And that goes to replacement of the MXU that lasts 20 years. About 30%-ish of our commercial accounts have what is called an Omni meter. It's the blue 1.5 to 2 inch water meter. And they have a head on them that has a battery that lasts 10 years. The other 70-ish% have an old style that just rotates and has a magnet, and the magnet moves the dial. So there's no battery, it never expires. But every 10 years, we're having to replace these Omni heads that cost about $400 every 10 years. And the current meter maintenance fee that we charge doesn't really cover that.
This is approximately 25, 28 meters in town, right? Something like that?
It's about 12 to 13.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. There aren't that many commercial accounts. But
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So we have two different options that we were thinking of for this. Either one, charge an additional fee for the people that have the commercial people that have an Omni meter that require those head replacements every 10 years. Charge just them a fee, or charge all commercial accounts that have a 1.5 inch or above the same higher fee, and then after a point, replace those old brass meters with an Omni meter. The benefits to the Omni meter is that they're way more accurate than the traditional brass meter. And there's other smaller benefits to it, but that's the biggest benefit to us, I guess.
Yeah.
But this would only affect people with 1.5 inch meters or above.
Yeah, and that was to go from $1 to $3, correct?
$1 to $3.
Right. Yep.
Just for those commercial
Right.
accounts that have that bigger meter.
Right, because of the extra expense of replacing it.
Yep.
They had-
$3 will cover the cost of it in 10 years.
It gets pretty close.
It'll help.
Yeah.
It'll help.
Yes.
So I would, to get off dead center, I would move that we'd make that adjustment.
Second.
Okay, discussion. When, would this be immediately, or would this
I
be?
think we were looking at June 1st, weren't we?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
The clock's already ticking on these, so.
Yeah.
June 1st?
I guess I'd ask you to clarify, because there's, like I said, there's two different options. We could either just charge the people that have the current Omnis, or charge everybody that has a 1.5 inch or above, and then eventually switch them over with that money that we get.
We'll need some clarification, yeah.
Right.
How much is an Omni meter?
So,
About 1,200. Yeah. So we wouldn't replace them probably quite a few years down the line. Yeah.
And these are all commercial accounts or just the bigger ones?
Just the bigger ones, just the one with a 1.5 inch or above meter. Yep.
Yeah,
Anybody with a 1 inch or less
Yeah.
would not be affected.
There's a budget.
They'd stay with the same $1 fee
How
for
how
the,
often do you gotta replace the batteries in the regular meter?
in the Omni
In the
heads.
readers, in the reader.
And the reader's 20 years.
Have you ever replaced any?
We've replaced some that have gone out early, yeah.
Okay.
But we were about 8 years away from, or 7, 8 years away from.
There's a lot
Other
of
than
it
these
out
Omni meters, they use the same reader?
They also, yes, they also have a, they also have an MXU attached to them. Yes.
But weren't all those meters changed out when they redid all the meters? No.
Changed with Omnis? No, I don't know why some of them are brass and some of them are the blue Omnis. I don't know why that is.
All right.
So, okay, we need to amend my motion
Yeah.
here, but to put in June 1st, but also if you can explain that again, aren't we just charging those approximately 12?
Yep,
commercial?
so that's the one option is just charge the people that have the current Omnis
Okay,
the extra fee, or charge everybody who is an inch and a half or above, and then at some point down the line, replace their current brass, the current old brass with the new Omni meter, so that everybody with an inch and a half or above has the Omni, the more accurate Omni.
so that's where the total of 25 came in then, right? Approximately?
Yeah, like 30 some, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know the exact number, I guess, but.
It makes more sense to be consistent, like have everything the same, then when it's, it's like, okay, we're gonna go check this one. Oh, that's this one. No, you gotta go back to the shop and do this now.
Right.
Like instead of having everything
Yep.
similar, having the batteries, not schedule like that sort of stuff.
Weren't we charging more for the commercial per month? Didn't you say, Tim, that we were at one time charging more for that? And we actually took that cost down?
That was the sewer.
Right.
Oh, that was a source?
Yeah, not the water meters, that was sewer.
So the brass ones are going to be automatically upgraded?
Yes,
Okay,
and we could either do that sooner, or we could wait until that fund just has the money for it. Either way, we'd end up paying for it,
right,
through the fee, obviously.
right.
Yep.
Yeah, it would make more sense if they are going to be upgraded to the Omni anyway, to assess the fee to all of the commercial meters at that size, because they're all going to be upgraded eventually anyway.
Yep.
And that's what the fee's going for.
And then we can use that money to pay for the Omni too then, for each one.
Just to give you an idea, the Omni meter has the ability to read down to 1 gallon a minute, which is very small for a larger meter. The old ones are like 3-4 gallons a minute. So anything below that doesn't register.
Yeah, that is a big issue. The bigger the meter, the harder it is to,
They're just a small amount.
if somebody flushes the toilet, it doesn't really measure or
Right.
record it, so.
Right. I would amend my motion to read that we would assess that fee to all commercial meters, inch and a half and larger, starting on June 1st, 2024.
Do you amend your second?
Yes, I'll amend my second and re-second.
Okay.
Well, about the same year, I said.
I'm gonna let Chelsea type that up, or, you got it?
Yep.
Oh, you do, okay. Any further discussion? Tim?
Yep.
Yes.
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 Yes. So they
Thanks for-
still use the same reader?
Same MXU, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Thanks
I
for
have
explaining that.
one more
Adam.
question for you.
Yeah.
Now, the brass meters on the 1.5 inch lines, they don't need replacing them?
Well, we just voted to replace them, I guess, but
I mean,
they're not deficient in any way other than they're not very accurate.
Okay, I'm talking about the smaller ones rather than the ones that we're gonna replace.
So they no longer make that style. So anytime a brass meter fails or a new building goes up, they end up with what is called an iPro, which is a plastic meter.
Okay,
So yeah, but we're not actively trying to switch people over to that.
okay.
It's a lot of meters.
Just a question.
Yeah.
Good question.
Thanks, Don.
Water tower inspection and repair.
So with the current plan of taking the old tower out of service, we want to get some of these water tower issues fixed on our 2 remaining towers. One of them is to put water mixers into both the north tower and the Senex tower, which will prevent icing, which then damages the coatings and stuff inside the bowl. And then 2, to also perform some of the maintenance on the north tower that has seen some of those issues from the past couple of years. I believe it's probably in there. They're doing spot repair and repairs to different sections of the inside.
Yeah, it's all listed on.
It's all listed in there.
Yeah.
So.
I did look through it today.
And that's work that can be completed this year too, so.
Yep.
Yeah, by September. is what
Yep.
they have in here, so.
Okay,
Yeah.
you said those mixers inside the towers.
Yep.
Will help prevent icing inside.
Yes.
Now, does that icing affect pressure, water pressure during the winter months?
Probably a little. I'm not entirely sure, but
Okay,
yeah, it causes damage is the main issue with it.
okay.
Yeah.
And icing is really a safety issue because if you get a big wad of ice up there and your water is down and lets go, you can blow that whole tower apart. So, yeah, it's
Okay.
And
it's not a good thing.
yeah, the benefit to these, they're a cheap solution, and apparently they work really well. This company has been putting them in everywhere.
I did look them up on the internet today. Yeah, it's like for such a tiny thing, it's amazing what it can do.
Yep.
Not sure what it is.
It's the I saw it. I can't believe it. Yeah, I believe it is. It's you know anything about them?
They're good products. We put those in. I'm sure that's probably what it is.
I think that's what it is. Well, I know it. I saw it in here because I looked it up. I think it's solar B. It's something B anyway.
I think it's Grid BGS 9, top of third page, or 3 down on the third page.
Yeah, the Grid BGS 9
Yeah.
submersible mixers.
I'm blind, obviously. Oh, I moved my things around, that's why.
And this cost is for both towers, so.
Both the
Yes.
repairs and the
Yeah.
mixers. Yeah.
So I would move that we would approve this quotation for $85,862 for both the Cenex and the North Tower for repair and yep.
I'll second it.
Yeah, you know, I think this is important since we plan on taking another tower offline, so
Yep.
get it done before that comes offline.
Yep, and that came in the inspection, so before they get worse, we have funds to do it, so.
Further discussion? Tim?
Yes.
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 I have another question for you, Adam.
Mm-hmm.
When we take that other tower down,
Mhm.
are there any parts inside that tower or anything related to that tower we can use on the other 2 towers? You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Probably not.
Yeah,
unless
probably
it's,
not?
unless it's
Okay.
with the transmitter stuff on the bottom, but
Okay.
but there wouldn't be much. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, grinder at the lagoon.
Yep. So we have a channel grinder that is right before the lagoon in town. It's had some issues in the past. It's about 13 years old or something, 15. The company that made it no longer makes that product. We've also been told that if you get 10 years out of one of those, you're doing pretty good, and it's been there for a lot longer than that. So we got a quote for a different model. Apparently it's well regarded. And it fits into the existing slot, so kind of an easier replacement.
I looked that up today too on the internet. It looks like a pretty nice unit. You know, we need it. And we need to grind that up before it gets into the lagoon. We just do.
Yeah, especially with us doing a dredging on that, we're doing this summer or spring or whenever it happens, getting that grinder up to shape is probably a very high priority before we get that dredging done.
I will make a motion that we approve this grinder for $36,277.13.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
We have to,
Oh, go ahead.
Nope.
wasn't there an issue with rocks getting in there from coming in? Was there be anything to do?
Yep, I guess our solution for the time being is to have that backed out more often, because there is a slot before the channel grinder where it collects a little bit of that. So if we get,
Solace.
we use solace from Underwood, we get them up here more often, we could hopefully prevent the same problems from happening before. And then we'll look into a long-term solution, which will be more pricey, but getting this grinder fixed before we do the dredging is kind of the priority, I guess, right now. So
That was a good question. You know, I mean, sewer takes maintenance, it just does, you know, so, yeah, it's like an everyday thing.
Shouldn't that, like solace be every, like, just on my schedule every 6 months or?
we probably just do an automatic schedule like we do with the fish cleaning station. Yeah,
I'd probably do a little more than 6 months. but,
we'll probably do it every month, honestly.
You know, it's cheap insurance rather than taking out a
Right.
$36,000 unit.
Exactly.
What does it cost each time they come up to do it?
I said like $200, I think. I don't
Yeah,
even know.
Yeah,
what
I
it is.
believe that one's 200.
Yeah.
That's pretty cheap.
And we can, you know, we can see after the first couple months to see if when they're doing it, are they bringing out a lot of rocks? If not, we can probably move it to 2 months and make it a little cheaper for us. Yeah, sure.
It's like anywhere from 180 to 200.
Good idea.
Did we vote? No.
No.
Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes. Sewer jetter,
Okay.
how we're spending money today.
Huh?
Spending money today.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
So our current sewer generator is from the 70s, I believe, and it hasn't worked at full power for about a decade.
Probably longer than that.
Probably longer than that. We have a decent amount of money in our sewer fund, so we figured that this is a good time to look at acquiring a new sewer jetter. We got 5 different quotes from 3 different companies, various sizes. And 2 of the companies let us view some of the machines. And I guess we kind of recommend we go with the smaller unit that's comparable to the one we have now, or it was in its heyday, I guess. Because we did see some of the bigger units, and yes, they're really, really nice, but they're probably more than we actually need.
So anyway, the 747, he brought if you go over to the 4th column.
4th column.
Yeah, the 747-TK Eco, they brought it on a trailer model.
Yep.
Which would be the same one that would go on a pickup model.
Yep.
It wouldn't pay for us to put it on our existing truck because it's not long enough, the axle isn't back far enough. So to take a almost 50-year-old truck and cut the frame and make it longer and slide the axle back, that doesn't make much sense. There is a market for our old truck for dairy farms, hog operations, that type of thing. He said it is sellable. He said they look for those. One concern that we had is the Tier 4 emissions, because for the amount of driving in our community, Tier 4 emissions would be a real nightmare. So luckily, the 74 horsepower Kohler diesel Tier emissions, which means you have to put DEF fluid in, doesn't start till 75 horse. So there are no Tier 4 emissions on that. And then this here was originally spec'd with a diesel for the actual chassis. So you can drop that from the 200,000 mark down to 191,698, about $9,000 less. So what was spec'd was a Ford F550 with a 7.3 liter gas engine, which the nice thing about that engine is that it doesn't have a turbocharger and it's a push tube style engine. which is just has a lot more longevity for the small trips, short trips, idling that we would do. So that was what we spec'd. That was the recommendation we came up. We got away from the diesel Tier 4 engine in the chassis and got away from Tier 4 by just having 74 horsepower, which is more than plenty for what they're running. And then, there's the other things we were looking, like the washdown gun that's got a reel on it. We talked to the guy again this morning, Adam and I did, and everything we need. It's comparable to what we had 50 years ago. That one still has those specs, but they're probably running at half of the specs because it's so wore out.
If that.
Yeah, if that. So it'll definitely be an improvement for probably more than my lifetime if it lasts as long as this old one down here did, because this one is wore out. So.
Yep, and I have the updated quote for that one here if anybody wants to look at it.
What is the price?
191,
698. 698
for everything.
Yeah.
And that was with an F what?
F550 Ford. Yep.
Can it be put on a trailer? I mean, do you need it to be on it?
It comes on a trailer standard, but this unit we have now used to be on a trailer, and it's a pain to back into more hard to reach areas.
Not only that, in the winter, it was really an issue.
It's even worse.
Yeah. So
we need a truck chassis on there.
Yeah. Plus, it just takes up more room that way too.
Yep. And this is a two-wheel drive. You can get in a four-wheel drive version 2, but with we don't need it with all that weight on the back.
It's gonna be heavy enough.
You save another $10,000-12,000 by not going four-wheel drive. So.
And bear with me, I'm not on sewer, so this might be super ignorant or whatever. Is there like sewer emergencies that happen during the winter?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so then the reason why I asked that is it an issue to switch from a tool with a gas engine to a diesel engine with possibly like gelling up and that sort of stuff? Because it's very outside.
No, with number one.
Inside,
No,
or
with
are we good?
number one fuel will be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I'm just thinking like my extrication equipment at Standing Rock. But anyway,
Yep.
okay.
well, the thing is, it's always stored inside too.
Yes.
So
Is it?
the
Okay.
fuel's always going to be warm.
Right. Yeah. It'll be no different than the rest of our
Yeah.
equipment.
Okay, cool. I was just thinking of an emergency situation.
Right. That's
want
good.
that,
Good question.
Yep.
And that diesel we actually need for the extra horsepower, then, correct?
What?
I don't believe it comes with a. You can't get it with the gas engine.
Oh, okay. I see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think the longevity is
Yep.
everything is just good. And what was the turnaround on this? Like 6-8 months or something?
Yeah.
6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 months.
Yep.
I really think we need to go with it.
Yep.
I really
Get
do.
on the list.
And
they're-
we need to update our equipment.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the closest dealer too in Minnesota.
There's one in Fargo. The VACCON one has a
Okay.
presence in Fargo, and they
Yeah.
have the benefit to them would be that they have like a partnership in Bismarck as well.
Okay.
And like I said, we saw one of their units. It's very nice, but it's also very expensive, and probably more than we need. Unfortunately, it costs almost $170,000 more. But the smaller one is probably more than enough for what we're
Right.
going to use it for.
Yeah, you're gonna, even though it's comparable in specs, it's gonna be
It's going to work way better.
twice as what we got.
Yeah.
Well, I would make a motion that we agree to purchase this thing tonight
For 191, 699, 698.
with the gas engine truck.
That's how we spec it exactly.
Yeah, that's, yep.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Yep. Second.
Further discussion? Tim?
Yes.
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 Yes. And we have money in our sewer fund, which would come out of our sewer fund.
Yep.
We have adequate money in that fund, yes.
Summer help, I believe you guys have got a few more people to interview yet. So I would like to make a motion that we let our HR people interview them and hire who they want. Without coming back to the commission.
Okay.
And then for the usual fee that we
Yep.
hire.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Further discussion?
No.
Jim?
Yes.
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 Yes. And we just got our other full-time in.
That closed on the 5th, right?
Yep, closed Friday.
Okay, so you got to go through.
Yep.
Eric, you're up, man.
All right. I did not get this to you guys. I apologize for that.
We'll accept it this time.
I thought I emailed it last week, and I was checking my messages, and I did not email it.
Yeah, didn't we say last time?
Yeah, you did. You did. That's why it was that much worse. So, but I was out here last week. Met with the committee on the PRV and water main improvements projects that we're looking at doing. Right now, it's a PRV replacement project. So a lot of the stuff in here, Adam was over here, and Larry and Tim. So we talked about a lot of this stuff, but just to make sure you guys are all tracking on it too. The old tower, you guys are aware that we're looking at retiring that pretty soon. So we looked at the water distribution model to see how that was going to affect the rest of the distribution system when we took that water tower offline. Got some really good feedback from the city on that. So thank you guys for pointing out the PVC water main that we've replaced over the years that we missed on the model. So we're getting the model updated right now and updating our recommendations. We're looking at replacing some of that cast iron pipe that we wanted to get rid of, but now it's really just left to Main Street that we have left to replace. And the other areas we looked at is where we're having high head loss for moving all the water up to the high zone, the two water towers that are going to be left after we take the old tower offline. So those are the things we're looking at right now. At this point, we know we want to replace the PRVs. There's the 2 PRVs in town, and then we're looking at potentially replacing some more of the cast iron water main as well. So more to come on that, but like I said, it was really good meeting last week, and we'll have a lot better recommendations and models for you guys once we get that updated. Any questions on the PRV projects or water main?
When do you expect to have a better cost estimate on that project?
They're working on the model updates this week, so that should be done this week. I would say if not by the end of this week, beginning of next week, Chelsea.
Okay.
So I'll let you know.
Okay. Only because I know I've said it multiple times before, but we plan on using
The ARPA funding.
ARPA funding, and I have to have that project designated by the end of April.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's why I keep asking.
So I will.
This month. Yep.
Well, we can designate it for it because that's what we pretty much wanted to do.
But better to know how much it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yep, those are all
Yeah.
questions that go along with it. So
Yeah, for sure. The cost estimate that I presented last time on the PRVs, you want to have that. That'll be designated for sure.
Okay.
But we'll have to look at if there's going to be more done on the water mains after that. So I would
Okay.
say for right now
Well,
on the PRVs, to make sure you have that.
We
I don't know if you can use it for the water tower
I'd
project.
say if we got any extra, we could put that part of that for that water tower and stuff
Yeah.
that we're doing.
we won't have any extra.
How much is there?
For ARPA, we got 99,000 some odd cents. And then we got another small one. And that was only like a couple thousand, I believe. We also do have Prairie Dog funding, which is 125,000.
25, yeah.
So
And that one, we don't have to have a desert, or do we have to say what that's for or not?
we do, but I don't believe the deadline for that is as strict as is ARPA
So
funding.
like the end of the year or something?
Yes, I think we have until November for that one. ARPA is designated by 2024, used by 2026.
Okay,
And one of the things I remember for the Prairie Dog restrictions is it cannot be used towards existing debt that
Right.
be used for any project. So
Infrastructure, yep.
Yeah, infrastructure project. Yep.
Yep.
so actually, both these projects could fall under either one of, or both of them possibly.
Yeah, and the other thing that we're looking at as far as funding goes, if we were to replace some of this cast iron water main on Main Street, we would look at doing pipe bursting for it, so we don't have to replace. Main Street's in good shape, at least all the way till 6th, so we would avoid tearing up the street. The other thing is that there's the lead service lines are a bigger deal, and while we're doing the water main replacement, that would be something we would look at replacing as well as lead service lines that we would find on Main Street. So,
I have a quick question for you. We take down that old water tower, and do we have to cap the line coming off that tower some point down the line that we're not gonna get feedback into that tower?
There's a valve on that line, we just closed it.
We're just gonna close it and not permanently seal it then?
well, there's
I'm just asking.
yeah, I mean, if depending on where we're at with the construction, we're replacing the TRV. You know, if it makes sense to put a cap on the line, if it's coming off at that point, we could certainly do that if you really.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, either that or, you know, we would cap it if and when we power it up.
Right, because if that valve would leak by or something, then you'd have, I don't know if you'd have any problems or not, but.
Well, the line worked last time, we fixed the tower, so.
Okay.
And as far as funding goes, if the city would decide to do something on cast iron water main replacement, I would look at putting in a application to the State Water Commission for some funding there. I think that would be a good project to be able to get funding for. And the other one is the SRF program has loan forgiveness for lead service line replacement. So it would just be a good time to do all of that stuff together if that's something that the city would want to do. So financing options, funding options, that's definitely something that we'll be looking at all that stuff if that project would go. So. All right, so the Lagoon project, which I skipped over initially, but the contractor is going to be on site around the end of May to the beginning of June. That's his schedule to be out here. Contractors from South Dakota, and we'll be up in the area around that time doing other work, so it's ended up being a good time. And I know the commission voted on approving his proposal last time for him to bring his own his own tractor. Yep.
So real quickly, so that first week of our different time change, now would you be working regular hours on that because there's a holiday? Memorial Day would be a holiday. Would that be, because we're probably going to need the guys there if he's on the end of May, we're going to need.
Yeah, that would be regular hours wherever there's a holiday.
That would be regular hours.
Wherever there's a holiday. Yep.
Got it.
I just mentioned the 4th of July as an example.
Okay.
Right.
Perfect. Okay. Great.
Yeah, and when I know the contractor's schedule, a better idea, like, hey, he's coming up this day, I'll just make sure I let you guys as far as in advance as I can. So, okay, moving on, the boat ramp road slide area. So we did discuss that with geotechnical engineer. What we're at right now, last time I talked to you guys, you know, their study is looking at like 13 months to complete and $72,000 to do this study. What the North Dakota Department of Environmental Emergency Services is telling me, they're our state agency that works with FEMA, is that it would be very difficult to get a benefit to cost analysis to work to pay for a study. And one of the reasons they say that there's not much infrastructure that is going to be compromised by this. And I said, well, there's a whole entire paved road, you know. I mean, that's a good amount of infrastructure there. Other things that I mentioned to them is that there's a boat ramp down there, there's a fishing pier down there, there's a geological survey gauging station that's right there. There's a riverboat, the old school riverboat that I know that everybody loves so much that's right there. So that, I mean, those are things that they should consider in their benefit cost analysis. But I'm going to continue to push those guys on that. But one of the things that they told me late last week was that their funding, that they don't expect to get their funding from the federal government until this fall, because it's all about when an emergency disaster gets declared that the state agencies will get their money from FEMA. So they're expecting that to happen this fall. So more to follow on that. We have reached out to the Corps of Engineers for funding and assistance, but we haven't heard anything back from them yet. I don't know of any good programs that they're going to have for this either. It's kind of a little bit different, you know, this situation that's on River Road, but we'll keep looking for options. I really, my recommendation remains the same. I think that a study would need to be done before we could really get at a solution to fix the this problem. We need to figure out the root cause first and how to go about it. So, any questions on that?
Is it fixable?
Yeah, I mean, I
Anything
think,
is fixable
yeah,
with money.
Yeah, I know,
it
but
depends how much
is it-
money you want to spend on it, right? But and that's why $72,000. It looks like a lot of money for a study, but you need to know what you need to do first before you can get a good solution, right? And they're going to provide, A, B, and C solutions, right? You guys can do this, you can do this, you can do this. This one's a Band-Aid fix. This one's going to fix everything, but the Band-Aid fix, maybe that's affordable and it'll buy some time, but maybe the big expensive one is not affordable. So
How long has this been going on? 40 years?
Last year.
Last year.
Well,
Well, I mean,
No.
over the years,
I
there
mean,
have
over the
been
years.
slides, but
Yeah.
there hasn't been for a long, long time.
13 years.
so it's
How much?
It's probably since the flooding.
Oh, okay.
really the riverbank's going to move all the time. It's been moving for decades, for centuries.
Yeah.
But it really has. It just depends on what your environmental conditions are. That's really going to affect that. One year it might be moving a lot, but another year might not be moving as much. So you just got to figure out where that root of that cause is, and we'll go after a solution from there. But
I have a question. So, we checked with Terracon. Is there other companies that would possibly do this?
certainly, I mean, I could reach out to a few others and get other quotes. But
Mhm.
besides Terracon, I think of Braun Intertech would be one.
I mean, I think it wouldn't hurt to just ask,
Yeah.
what, get some more quotes. And that's a lot of money.
Okay, I can do that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions on that? Okay, so the street and drainage improvements, that's the project on the other side of Highway 83. So the NDDOT Flex Fund grant was submitted at the end of December. We had expected to hear back by now. I know of other communities that have, so what that's telling me is that it's not a good thing, like we probably didn't get it. So we'll continue to monitor and see if they put out an announcement or a sorry letter to people. I don't know, but I haven't heard anything about Washburn, but I know there's other communities that have gotten.
I did check my email. There was nothing on there, but also, I actually went to the state website to see if there was anything. I couldn't find anything on that either.
Right, so
um,
I will send out a message to you guys when I find
Yeah.
something out. But I feel like we would have found out by now. There's the City of Beach, City of New Salem, City of Bismarck. I know that they've all gotten little chunks of this Flex Funds grant. So I'll let you guys know when I find out.
Thank you.
Lead and copper rule. We're done with the survey. It's closed. We had decent survey response, 20% a good response rate. So we're going through and QA/QCing the data that we receive and updating the inventory list right now. That's what we're up to. Those deliverables of the updated sampling plan and the initial inventory of the service lines, that's due June 1st to the state. So we'll make sure we get that done.
Do we need to go house to house to see which ones are which? I mean, some areas we know obviously are good, but like in the older area of town, we
That-
go house to house.
I mean, that's up to the city and the staff that you have available to be able to do that, if you guys want to do that.
Well, I guess the question is, do we need that for?
No, you do not. The more that you know, the better, but you can submit homes as unknown.
And what does that mean, unknown?
What that means is when it comes down to a replacement plan, because basically when this lead and copper rule revision takes effect, which is October of this year, it starts a 10-year clock, and all the lead service lines have to be replaced within 10 years. So if you have 100 unknowns, if you have 20 lead lines, you got to replace those. If you have 100 unknowns, you're going to have to go replace those too. Now, you could say, okay, well, I'm going to go look in their basement and we'll figure it out. Okay, then we can take that off the list. So it's going to
Well,
force you.
eventually we're going to look.
Yes, eventually you're going to have to look. So if you want to do it, the earlier you want to do it, probably the better off you're going to be, right? we don't want to get to the point to where we're having to dig up service lines just to figure out what they are.
Well, no, exactly. I think it would behoove us to spend a couple days and
Yeah.
figure them all out, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, sections of town we don't have to go into,
Right.
but anywhere in the old part of town, you know?
And we're going to be able to tell you guys exactly what we're going to have addresses and the service lines, and we'll let you know which ones are unknown. And
You give us a list and we
yeah,
can help them.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, everything that we're going to deliver to the state, we're going to deliver to the city.
I think that makes sense.
So we're working on that. We'll have it wrapped up here pretty soon. And then reached out to Bechtold Paving on that. I know you were interested in that too, Chelsea. But they're looking at next month for the seeding stuff and restoration, which if I can push him out here quicker, I will. But I know his guy that he had, which I'm blanking on the name right now, who's doing the season work. They have a lot of work that came into the spring, which surprise, surprise. They have a lot of work that went to the spring. So as soon as I can get them out here, I will.
Have you guys noticed any cracking up in that one area?
Not any more than what was there before.
Yep, and we'll do, this summer, we'll take a look at it and make sure that we...
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if that, because I know we were talking about it last fall.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, thank you guys.
Any questions for Eric? Okay. Mr. Tim?
Yeah, there is a Garrison diversion meeting coming up, I believe it's the 24th of April. So see what that, see what that's about and what kind of information there is there. And then also, I guess because I was involved in the land swap between the park board and the city of below the bridge and then where the new Veterans Park, there was some wrong information out there. Some people had come and asked me, they had heard some information that because the city and the park board had traded property, that there was going to be more of an expense to the taxpayer because the information that they had received was that the park board paid taxes, but the city didn't. So now the taxpayer will have to pick that up, and that was just to tell everybody that's wrong information. The city doesn't pay taxes. Park board doesn't pay taxes. City pays specials. Park board pays. So taxpayers that ask me, so if there's anyone else out there. And then the other point of misinformation was that now that the park board has traded this property, should they ever want to take out a loan, they wouldn't have collateral to put up. That's misinformation too, because entities like park board or a city cannot put up property, as collateral. They can, certificates of indebtedness is what they use. They cannot put up for collateral property. So both of those are misinformation. So, all right, that's all I had, just for the public.
Okay. No, nothing.
As I mentioned with the kind of helpful commissioner about getting the name, an official name, I guess. But the kind of goal I'm looking for is probably June, like have a final thing to be approved. And it's obviously not binding, there's no penalties.
Right.
It's helpful information, that's all it simply is. So
Right.
if, I guess, should I just ask for anyone else that wants input on this before the May meeting, and present that one for the final revisions and that sort of stuff, and then June, hopefully get it in.
Anybody needs a printed copy of it, ask Chelsea and she will get it for you. I mean, if you want a printed copy to make notes on or whatever, but yeah, we should definitely get it to you by next meeting, absolutely, or before.
Yeah, that'd be great, because even if it was before, then I could just include it with her, and then it could be included for everyone just to look at, like, okay, these changes I like, these changes I don't like, here's why.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just kind of to help build the future here,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
People coming on or staying or whatever it may be.
I think it's going to be a big help to future commissioners.
Yeah, and it can be iterated upon as well, if things need to be added or changed,
Oh, yeah.
that's fine. It's not a big deal. And then I guess I did have with streets, people call about the tarring stuff, so maybe we kind of talked about that a little bit with Adam, but maybe we should have a little street committee meeting or something like that, just in terms of like tarring solutions. Do we want to go to the blocks? Do we want to go to the kind of heater thing that we are, just the different options that we have to do more tarring? Because obviously we're kind of moving into that realm, it seems, and the phone call I received, the lady was not very optimistic. We'll
She
just
don't
say
like our
that.
tar?
What?
She don't like our tar?
Just the cracks and like not enough fill and just some concerns in that regard, which
Okay.
I guess just maybe we could look at, or maybe just, you know,
Yeah.
because maybe that's more of a maintenance thing, and then we can look at logistics of like, okay, are the velocity, just maybe we can maybe do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. We can get together with our maintenance guys and discuss
And
that.
then bring it back, yeah.
Yeah, let me know if it works. So, absolutely.
I guess on the question, was that a crack fill? Or like, basically, is there two different methods? Like, is there where you go down and you tar the base to keep it from undermining? Or is it actually like a fill? I mean, because if it,
Well, it's the same stuff that the state uses. I can say that. I know some of them looked underfilled, but the thought was that they're at their widest right now, and they are going to close on themselves as it gets warmer. So I guess the thought was that the current level of fill was adequate.
Yeah, because asphalt expands when it gets warm, and those cracks are gonna close up. And that's the idea, is you don't need to fill them all the way to the top, because then it's gonna, you know, it could actually help even cause more of a breakout, you know.
And I guess just one kind of thought I had on that was like, is that more if it's like consistently done all the time? Because then there's a consistent level in there that then is built upon. Like, do you think our cracks are a little bit thirsty? You know what I mean? Because it was like 2 years or whatever it was since we did it. I don't know how long it was, but it's just a thought. You know, like, was there extra down at the bottom that needed to be there to then come out? I don't know. You know, but just
A lot of times, if the crack's like super, super wide, it doesn't do any good because it's just going in the dirt anyway, you know.
It might have been the way we had the freeze thaw that just made them wider this year, because if you saw the ones on the hills, they were extremely wide. Some of the more consistent ones along Main Avenue and Border Lane weren't as wide as those were, because those are more fresh cracks also. Yeah, so.
You know, we're using a new product this year that we haven't used for many, many years. You know, we're using actual tar rather than a water-based emulsion, which is, I think it's way better. What?
Well, we used cold flow before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but,
Oh, is our tar supply gone?
oh yeah.
We get our tar from the state, and they are out, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're probably not gonna get any more this year then?
No.
Well, tarring's done for this year, so.
Yeah, I know, but it'd be nice to have it for next year ahead of time.
Right.
Which kind of brings us to a thought on that, since we're bringing up tarring, is, you know, it might behoove us to try and get some kind of a couple 1,000-gallon storage. You have to be able to heat it, of course, but, you know.
We would talk about that at the committee meeting, I guess.
Yeah.
That was the thought, so.
Didn't we talk about this about 3 years ago, of getting something like that?
Yeah, yeah. So, even a couple 1,000-gallon would be great, so. Okay.
that's all. So yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Driving around the city, the potholes seem to be getting bigger all around the city. And I'm not just talking up the 2 or 3 streets by my place, but driving around the city, the potholes are getting bigger.
We did potholes on Friday.
Go across the highway.
Go across the highway?
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's stuff we can't fix.
Yeah, that's
Big areas.
but seems like the potholes are getting bigger, deeper.
Yeah, it is spring.
This year was really bad, especially for roads.
Yep.
Anything else?
No, I can't think of anything right now.
Well, you can't talk later.
I know, wait till next month.
I don't have anything. Chelsea?
I guess I just want to, for some clarification, the numbers that I had given to the commission were 2-year figures talking about meeting minutes and amounts being published. And when the paper looked back on the video and did the article, they were thinking it was like a 1-year thing. So I just kind of want to clarify that numbers I presented to you guys were 2 years, and that's why they were higher than what the paper came up with. And she did go through just as easily for her to send them out, and just for the record of 1 year of meeting minutes being published, it was $2,284.52. As a rough idea of what it costs on average for a year, just so that it's transparent and out there as to what the city is paying.
Yeah, that article was kind of confusing that she had in the paper though.
And yeah, there was some confusion with the numbers I presented and being talked about in 1 year. So I did talk to her, and I explained to her how I probably didn't clarify that they were 2-year numbers, and some of those were mixed in with required publication, and I had actually switched that out this year anyway to be different as to what is just meeting minutes and what is required publication. So it was already separated out, so we'll have a better idea just that way already starting this year, because I separated those two out. So
Okay.
just for that clarification.
Thank you.
Spring cleanup is going to be here before we know it. That is in May, 20 through the 24th, with curbside on the 25th. And then just to, I guess, give a heads up, we did have another special assessment committee meeting about 2 weeks ago. I am making some more changes within the numbers and updating houses that have sold so they have the correct information with the correct people. I should have that done this week, and I will get that back out to the committee members. We're kind of waiting on that last final bill to go through, so I have the exact amount with the seating. So the sooner that they can get in and get that done, the sooner then we can push this to a public hearing and be done with it. But that's kind of where that's sitting. So if anybody has questions on that, I guess you can let me know. But that's all I have.
Okay, very good. Adam?
You should have my report. If there's any questions about it, then let me know. Or I have a copy of it.
So you sampled the first discharge, you haven't got the results back yet, I'm
Nope.
guessing. It needs to go.
It does. Yes, it does. It looked good too, so I'm guessing we're gonna pass once it comes back.
Did you use all of your batch material?
We used half of it, so we're gonna use the other half this week probably if it dries out, which it will.
You'll need to get more, that's for sure.
What's wrong with the Unimog blade?
There was some damage that got done to it during snow cleaning this year.
I think we're gonna try and get some weight off of it too. I mean, that thing is so damn heavy.
It's very heavy.
We're gonna try and get some off of there, and then with that counterbalance, we can get some weight off of that too, because it's just way too heavy.
Yeah, most of the repairs need to be done to the gate. There is some repairs need to be done to the blade as well.
You talked to Chris on that, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions for anybody? Nope. So, bills. Everybody have a chance to review the bills?
Sure did.
Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the bills.
Second.
Okay, Tim?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right, next meeting, May 13th. Thank you, everybody. Meeting adjourned.
Lucky May 13th.
May 13th.